science. We've done a lot of graphing. I've learned a lot about different things like the Pythagorean theorem. I've learned how to make a proper graph and a good table with x and y relationships. And one of my great graphs that I wish to show is my time versus distance graph. It's labeled nicely, it's neat. It has a good story to go along with me using a ruler with equal intervals, a labeled x and y axis. It has its distance in hours, the time in hours, distance in miles, and it's titled, and I put my heading on it.
So can you read us the story that goes with the graph?
Sure, okay. These are 3 of my classmates. Will, Josh, and Gino went on a full-day fishing trip. After 20 miles, which is right here, they stopped for 1 hour to fish small game and to bait the fish. After 35 miles, they hit a hot spot and fished for 2 hours. After that, they put the boat at full speed. At 100 miles, they got to their destination and fished for 6 hours, catching all kinds of tuna and large game. Right. And yeah, and then you guys can look at my graph. This is my dramatic representation of a cell, and what I had to do is I had to use the 10 organelles in a cell, and animals and plant cells, which are like the features, like the nucleus is the main one, and then there's mitochondria. And I was partnered with Eric, and we wrote a story about all 10 organelles being kings in different cities, and then a huge monster came, and they had to all join forces in order to destroy it. And after they destroyed it, they all formed into one great machine that we now call today the cell. Missy Nostro has a technique called curse, which is circle the answer, underline the question, record your steps, show your work, and explain your answer. And that helps me a lot because it's all the basic things I need to put together a good project. Now I'm transitioning over to humanities. This year in humanities, I've had a lot of fun. We've read Beowulf so far, thankfully it was a modified version because Miss Chin said she read the full version in college and it's all in Old English and very hard to understand. And this is one project that I did. This is called my outside reading project. We picked a book and we read Hatchet, Eric and I again, and we read this book Hatchet, and we had 4 weeks to do the project, so we had to make a timeline. Eric and I planned that we'd have the book done in 2 weeks and then have the rest of the 2 weeks to work on the presentation. And when Miss Chin assigned this project, we had to take on 2 different roles. I was an analyzer, so these are my 2 analyzations. One of them is that in the book Hatchet, there's a secret that Brian's mom doesn't share with his dad, and that makes it a lot harder in the book for Brian to stay happy when he's stuck in the wilderness. And then another analogy that I made is that in the wild, all the animals and challenges that he faced helped him prepare for the real life and also to stay in the wilderness, and it was key for him to survive. So Eric was the illustrator. He illustrated all these pictures, and we put together this project, and we got a very good grade. We got an A, and I was happy with it. I also wrote the summary of the book.
What was your favorite part of the book?
I like fishing, so I liked when he made the spear and tried to fish, but for some reason the water shows the fish. It doesn't show the exact place of the fish because there's a reflection in it, and so he had to figure that out on his own, and I thought that was a great part. And one more thing I don't have, Miss Chin said she might bring it. was the journal writing, and it was what I thought of a hero. And basically, I wrote about this imagination, and it was a creature, actually a human, who was brave, courageous. He had all the great traits, and yeah, he was in the army. And I explained how I would never want to be in the army, but I'll always look up to those who want to defend our country. And I can improve on my journal writing by writing a little bit more in them, because she gives us 15 minutes to write, and I write around a page in that 15 minutes. I think I can elaborate more and probably make better stories. And then some personal goals I have in just my whole life is I want to attend Notre Dame, and I want to graduate from there. And I want to come back to San Diego and get a job in forensic science. And then some goals for these two classes: I want to make friends and have good relationships with everyone in these classes, including my teachers. And I want to achieve grades that I think are good enough in my standard. And as a learner, I like to learn in an environment with people that I get along with, that I work well with, that get the job done when they need to get the job done, and I like it to be quiet. A classroom that would drive me crazy would be all the kids yelling and screaming and throwing papers all over the place, and most of them not paying attention to the teacher. And yeah, that's basically my student-led conference. Do you have any questions?